Please tell us a little bit about this place, where we are right now.
We are now at the student restaurant Prikka, which is our hospitality students' working place, studying place. This is available for their use to study. They can use the kitchen, learn how to cook, develop new menu items, and this is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So we have a restaurant within the university.
Yeah.
And do people also eat here actually?
Yeah, we organize restaurant days where the first year students are responsible for making the food and waitering it, and the second year students mostly are designing the food what their people are eating.
And for example, so this place is used by the hospitality management students. Can you tell us a little bit about the degree program? What is it all about?
Yes, we have this sort of unique combination in Finland. Our main focus is food, without forgetting tourism sector, but roughly in Finland around 70% of tourism workforce works in a restaurant. And in our program, you are able to study nutrition, food development, service design. So it has a sort of this flair of cuisine and gastronomy in it.
And how long is this degree program? What's the length of the program?
Usually students graduate in 3 or 4 years. Most of them study 3.5 years.
Okay. And could you tell us a little bit, for example, what are the study modules or the courses or you know that students will are able to go through in the study time?
Yes, we have there are 2 modules here in Prikka. One of them is learning how to cook. One of them is how to manage the restaurants. Then on a 3rd year there will be more these development studies, for example, service design, nutrition, and financial management and organizational behavior and so on.
You mentioned that students learn how to cook, etc. But considering the fact that we might have students from different backgrounds and different countries and different cuisine, does that make it more complicated or more interesting?
It makes more interesting because this is sort of a hub of different cultures and kind of the cultural backgrounds might have different food on different ingredients, and we have up-to-date restaurant kitchens where we can share these cultural differences with each other.
So for example, if I'm as Mexican, if I make a very spicy food, will I fail a course?
No.
Okay.
Of course not.
Good to know, good to know. Yeah, because I think for a lot of cultures it's just so important, you know, like the type of food and their spices and everything they use. And I think it's super interesting to have a group of students from a different background cooking together.
Yes,
you know,
and then you can also learn the language. Kind of, for example, we are aiming to combine some Finnish students with international students, so you're actually working together and more able to learn the Finnish language as well.
I asked my questions regarding food, but of course the degree program is not focused on food. It's just one of the one of the main courses. But it's very interesting. And for example, what kind of places are the students able to work after graduation?
I think the most typical graduate for a kind of newly graduate is to go to work in a restaurant, for example, as a shift manager or service manager, either in restaurant or in hotel. Then, for example, we have some graduates who are kind of working directly as a restaurant manager. Then as your career progresses, you are able to go, for example, operational manager, GM position, or then you can start your own business. We have good courses for that as well.
Yeah, I have heard from different students that they are very good at preparing food, for example, and they have this dream or this idea of opening their own place.
Yeah.
And do you consider that it's important that they have a practical training place, like that they first work on a place before starting their own business?
Yeah, it will be. They will kind of hugely benefit. They know how it's done in the industry, and we can use also when they are planning their own, for example, their own business. They can use our kitchen to kind of design the menu and test your ingredients and test your cooking, and have some audience over here as well to kind of test your food. So then you really know, okay, what not to do, and how you what kind of process should I use to make your food palatable or taste good as it should.
And also acceptable for the local customers,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and what makes this program so special that we have to make an English version of it?
We have probably one of the only ones in Finland. We have a combination of nutrition and food and gastronomy, and also sort of the tourism business, and sort of that combination makes it so unique in Finnish perspective that it's better to have it in English as well. And because we are working closely together, for example, with agri-food engineering students, then you can combine topics from there as well, which if you want to study.
I believe that, for example, this program will help the foreign community to step up, when it comes to a service business or the service industry. Because, for example, last summer, I know there were hundreds of thousands of people coming to Finland, as a tourist. And maybe a lot of the students who come from abroad are able to get these very basic tasks in different workplaces. But if they study, in a degree program like this, they might be able to step up, their opportunities to actually work in different places.
Yeah, and then sort of the career progress, for example, in restaurant industry is usually quite fast, because there is a lack of workforce, so there might be kind of more possibilities to grow your career, progress in your career.
And here at SEAM, what are the international opportunities that the students can expect?
We have plenty of different English language degree programs. For example, I think our hospitality students might have some courses with the agri-food engineering students, so they'll get to know each other on there. Then there are international business and nursing programs as well. So they because we have these new programs, also the international community here in Seinäjoki will grow further, and there will be more people participating in it.
Yeah, and also in Seinäjoki, if I might add, there is also an international community other than just students.
Yeah.
There are families, and there are people that have come from abroad to do life here, and that enriches the local community. I think that's very nice. What do you think that in Seinäjoki is an open place for students to work, to find a working place?
Yeah, there are more and more. For example, in restaurant industry, there are more and more international workforce also over here. At first, they kind of usually start in the kitchen, but when they kind of start to learn the language, they can take customer service jobs as well. And then there are, for example, restaurant companies where the main language might be in English.
Yeah, normally we try to encourage the students, I think, to try to focus on a study, during their study time, and maybe not to focus on work yet. But I believe that in this industry, they might be able to find a part-time job. What do you think?
Yeah, I think because restaurant industry and sort of hospitality and tourism industry, they have some international flair kind of already in it, because the industry is so international. And then there are these kind of, for example, Finnish gastronomy is basically using raw ingredients from which have Finnish background, and then they are combined with different international methods. So kind of there is this international flair. So therefore, kind of also the workforce might be more international than other industries yet.
And I believe we need more Mexican restaurants.
Yes, I do think that as well.
And lastly, why do you think a student should consider to applying at SAM and to study hospitality management?
I think because of the unique opportunity, you might study nutrition, you might study gastronomic, you understand the kind of the principles how to operate restaurant and do the business operations, and as well with that in combination with tourism industry, you kind of should be able to find your place in Finland and develop your career opportunities with us. And we have a pretty good track record with our students, how they have employed by the industry.
Yes. Yeah, well, I want to thank you so much for hosting us here today. This is a beautiful place and looking forward to have a meal here sometime.
Yes, and if you're thinking about apply, we have a fully equipped restaurant waiting for you to kind of start learning how to cook, how to make food, and kind of how to progress your career. So please apply.
Thank you so much.